very early TRSBA 2024 Power Rankings. I'm the Commissioner, Tim Wilshire, and here today to go through those rankings from 16 down to 1. So this is the 16th of June, 16th of August 2023. It is the Ekka Day in Brisbane. So without any further ado, let's get started. Right, so the very early season power rankings. Let's see if this, I'm not sure how well the music will play here, but give it a crack and just see. Obviously, where do we start? The New Orleans Hurricanes. There is a house in New Orleans. Hang on, just do that again here. The last year they were 7-47. And they added Victor Wembanyama. That was a no-brainer of a draft pick, to be honest. I mean, that was probably the most no-brainer draft pick that I've ever seen. Victor. They projected him to be 30.5 fantasy points a game, be the third best on this team. There could be some injury concerns with a slight frame that he has.
Hey, Victor, what do you know about fire? Hey, Victor, heard your dad's living in Phoenix, Arizona now.
Hey, Victor, who do you think is the greatest basketball player ever?
Is he going to be the greatest ever? I don't know, but having a look at this team here, they've got New Orleans, they've got Donovan Mitchell. He's going to certainly have another good season, you'd think. Jamal Murray, coming off his career, going to probably back that up. Jabari Smith, also a number 1 pick. So the last 2 drafts, they have the number 1 pick, yet they still rank the worst in the league. So they're not that deep here. Zach Collins, we expect him. He's on the same team, so they could start both Zach and also it's quite possible that they will start both those guys. But we'll see what happens. I don't know if it works out though. Not that deep. You can see there's a lot of issues down the bottom of this team. They expect to have a similar record. Maybe 10 wins is good, 12. I expect an average of about 169, 170 still. I think it's better than last year. So on to Team 15. Who is it? Who will be Team 15? As we count down this here. And it's the team that had the 2nd and 3rd pick in the draft. It's a weird thing here because Jalen Green, quite clearly the best player. They projected to not be quite as good as their second season. And why is that? I mean, we've got Fred VanVleet there. He gets a lot of good stats. So that's going to make a difference, I think, to Jalen Green. They think he will anyway. Scoot Henderson will play some 30 minutes a game, 26.32. I think he'll get involved and certainly be in the running for the Rookie of the Year. But the 3rd best player is Andrew Wiggins and then Sadiq Bey. And then another rookie, Brandon Miller. So not a very, very good deep team by the New York Lions. They've got 15 signed players, obviously added Miller and Scoot Henderson. On to the next team, Team 14 now. The Tampa Bay Butchers. Now, definitely a team that's really, in my opinion, no doubt, the 3rd worst team in the comp. Expected to average about 189. I just don't think there's really any superstar power there, unless I'm looking at the wrong team. I mean, DeJounte Murray will get 30 fantasy points a game. Walker Kessler, his second best player, third best rookie last year. Is a good player, no doubt about it. Jared Allen, but Keegan Murray, he's going to have a pretty good second year. It says there 26.81. Miles Bridges, hard to know what's going to happen when this guy comes back. He's coming off a year where he didn't play. He's a dickhead. He can't do what he's done. Clint Capella, Zubac. So they just fill with all these tall centre guys and Chris Paul off the free agent list. John Collins, I would probably project him a bit higher than 21 fantasy points a game, but last year that's what he basically did. And they're basically saying, okay, Walker Kessler's a better player and Markkanen's a better player and John Collins is the third best front court player. So I'm not sure about that. On to the 13th team, the Washington Wolfhounds. And it's very interesting to see that Mikal Bridges is their best player over Cat. I mean, I would have Cat probably higher. It's an interesting one. I mean, Cat struggled with injuries 2 out of the last 3 years and has not really got better. Will he get better? Will those injuries hamper him? I think that there's a possibility. We know that Josh Giddey is getting better every year. I mean, Josh Giddey is getting better, and he's just leading us, the Boomers at the moment, to some superstardom. To be honest, he's unbelievable. What else I like Claxton, Fred VanVleet. That's a very good ad as well. So they will be competitive. 191, 192 is the average, so they could certainly make the playoffs. There's no doubt about that. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what they end up going here. The New England Red Devils. Dan's going to hate that I put him at 12. But LeBron is their best player by a country mile. An absolute country mile. DeRozan. These are all veterans. They're all old. So that number there on the left-hand side where it says 27 next to LeBron, that's important because his average is not the 27th best average, but his total production 2,363, because you always expect to miss 15, 20 games. It does make it so he's the 27th projected on totals. And DeMar DeRozan looks like a bit of a regression there, down to 31.45. Vooch down to 30. Rozier, we expect him to have a good year, as is Middleton, as is Klay Thompson. So there's 6 guys there that could get 28 plus, but I just don't see them get any of these guys sort of breaking beyond these projections. Markel Foot's 24.72. So I think the biggest concern the Red Devils have is staying healthy with an aging team. I cannot stress that enough. I think a lot rides on Ben Simmons. Can he come back? He's on a Nets team where it's going to be difficult to get more than early 20 fantasy point production. He needs to really step up if they. You've already got a guy in Spencer Dinwiddie who's probably started point guard. You've already got guys like Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges that'll be the wings. And you've got a good guy in Claxton. So I don't know, where does this fit for Ben Simmons? They've got a very loaded team. Have the Nets. Team 11, the Toronto Flyers. And you can see the disparity when you look at this. A full cap, 15 players have added James Harden, which is a good. I think they probably must have got rid of some good players because Harden ranked 32 on totals, which is pretty low when you look at what he's done in previous years. Kawhi Leonard, 52, mainly because it only plays 60 games. Spencer Dinwiddie, Keldon Johnson, Tyus Jones. We'll start for Washington. Harrison Barnes, Quentin Grimes, and Melton. So that's their record last year, 33-21. They're not going to win. I'd be surprised if they're better than a 500 ball club this year. The North Carolina Brown Cows at 10. They've added Kevin Porter Jr., and we'll get to him in a minute. They surprised last year. I didn't think they would do that well, and I've sort of said, no, they're not going to really be better than a 500 ball club. It could happen. I mean, look, we are projected that Julius Randle at 37.2, Jaylen Brown, 34.37. These guys will get the stats. Jaron Jackson Jr., 32, stud. I've even predicted that Jeremy Grant will do better than what most people would at 29.3. RJ Barrett, why is there a regression there? Because he's not a very good player. And plus he's he's going to come into the season as the third clear option on that team at 26.29. Chet Holmgren as a rookie, hard to predict, but we think about that, double maybe with some blocks, some assists. D'Angelo Russell's not that great anymore. You got him ranked quite down the list. And then we just look at these other guys. Kevin Porter going from 28 fantasy points a game last year to 18 is a big jump, a big dive because Van Vliet's in there. I mean, Thompson's going to get some minutes. It's going to be tough for Kevin Porter as long as he stays in Houston. That's just not going to work out well. Eason is a great player. I think he'll get he might even get better than 20 FP, but this is just based on that we'll see likely that dickhead Dylan Brooks is going to start at small forward for Houston, and what that means is that Eason will probably get some less minutes. He'll back up Jabari Smith Jr. On to team number 9, the Chicago Predators. Just see if I can have I got any Chicago music. What's this one? Let me check what this one was.
Chicago, I will show you one.
So they got the best player in the comp in Joel Embiid, well, arguably with Jokic. Levine's second, Banchero probably move up to third on this team. Paul George, so they got a very good stable. I don't know if Bradley Beal will get 30 fantasy points a game. I think that's a bit of a pipe dream, but that's what it says, and we're going to take that somewhat on board. Yusuf Nurkic, don't know if he can bounce back to being that good. Brook Lopez won't be better than last year, so that's fairly. There's a big drop off after Brook Lopez, as you can see. No breakout stars there. They've only got the 12 players. They're all listed there. That's a $38 million cap, and they made the finals last year. They didn't really add anyone key. They had a 29 and 25 record and about the same fantasy point percentage average as the Jaguars, yet they made the finals and the Jaguars missed out on the playoffs. So take that as you may. The Golden State Snipers definitely could be better than 8th here, but this is where they are. Certainly improved, but it's again the depth is the issue, I think, for them. I've got the Golden State Snipers ranked 8th among the first top 6, and then the 11th on the bench. So that's their bench needs a bit of improvement, as you can see there. Giannis is going to be great, 45. I expect that easily. Irving, 37. Ingram, 33, but injuries. Garland is great. Jordan Clarkson, a good ad, as is Reeves. 2 good free agent ads there. Both guys, I think, were taken off the free agent list. Jeremy Sochan going well. Dylan Brooks, Kuminga. I think he's going to break out a bit. I think he'll have a good year. Over 20 is my guess for Kuminga. Snipers. So yeah, I think those late season ads are going to help. And Dan reckons they've rebuilt. They could do, but they need more. They do need more. You need a bit more support. Utah Saints. Oh, well, this team was ranked number 1 last year. And I honestly think that they need to do something. They can't go into the season with this team, with this squad, the way it currently is. Yeah, they wasted a really monumental year from SGA. I think you cannot fathom that he was going to play a top 5 sort of NBA player level. It's going to be disappointing for them that that they didn't take advantage of that. They had to put up with Zion's shit, And what are they going to do about this guy anyway? So let's have a look. You can see a bit of disparity amongst the value they bring for the season and the average. I just wanted to point that out with this particular, and this is why I ranked them as low as 7, because if you look at Ja Morant on the left-hand side, he only plays a maximum of 47 games this year, and that's going to really hurt the Saints. Trae Young is great, 36 fantasy points a game. He's underrated by some. SGA, look at that, just a monumental sort of display. DeAndre Ayton is really sort of a bit underrated, I think, by some. Hero, he had some injury problems last year. So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they've got 7 guys that could average over 28 fantasy points a game. And Vassell's probably not too far behind those guys as well. Maverin was not bad as a rookie. I think he holds in there. And then the bottom 3 players, what do you do there? You need to do something. This can't be the team that they end up with. You look at the Utah Saints, they are the 5th ranked starting 6, right? That's the 5th ranked group there. And that's with all the games missed as well, which is very good. But 13th on the bench is just not cutting it. The San Francisco Tigers move up. This is actually meant to be number 6. Sorry, that's meant to be the 6, number 6. Sorry, I fucked that up. The San Francisco Tigers. I mean, yeah. Sort of a lot of the success of those Sacramento King players, I think, with Demonis Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox, a huge reason why the Tigers will, had a 500 record and probably looking like they're going to have a good season here. They are ranked 6. Scotty Barnes, 27.4. I think he's a good player. Halliburton, just a top. These guys are all top caliber players. Top 15, top 20 players, Sabonis, Fox, and Halliburton. No doubt about it. Shaden Sharp, I love where he sort of finished the year. I think he's going to have a great year. I think he's going to start at small forward. There's no doubt about that. He can stretch the floor. He can do a lot. Cam Johnson will be good as well. I think he was a free agent signing. Trey Jones was. Asar Thompson could surprise a few in the Rookie of the Year stakes. Will make the all-rookie team, in my opinion, quite easily. 19 fantasy points a game, probably better than what a men will do. Obi Toppin, I like his situation. That could be better than 20 fantasy points a game as well. Okshay Abaji, Pat Beverly. So there's a lot to like about those Tigers. Let's have a look at the Jags. This is an interesting one. Now, Jordan Poole obviously goes teams. We've got a full cap. We've got 17 signed players. We've added Michael Porter Jr. We've added Amin Thompson, Bilal Coulibaly, Gafford, Casey Wallace. So some really good ads. Jordan Poole, though, I think you might get 33.78. So that's a jump of over 8 to 9 fantasy points a game from last year. Now, hold on to your dicks here. Hold on to your dicks. The projection for his scoring is a lot. It was pretty crazy when I had a look at it. I couldn't fathom it, but I'm not going to say it won't happen. The 13th highest points a game scorer in the 23-24 season will be Jordan Poole. He will score 27 points a game, they reckon. So that's a big jump from 20, but he is going to have more usage. He hasn't Steph to worry about, hasn't got Klay Thompson to worry about, or Wiggins. He'll be the number 1 option for the Washington Wizards. Kuzma will be a definite number 2, and there'll be only 2 guys that can actually play offense on that team, and both of those guys up from last year, right? So that's important to note. Chris Porzingis was the best player last year. Will go down about 2 or 3 FP to about 31, 32 fantasy points a game as the clearly third option in Boston behind Jaylen Brown. CJ McCollum, 27. We don't think he's going to be any better than that. The next 4 guys, let's just have a look at this. Jalen Williams, I think mid-20s is fair. I mean, I think what will happen there is he won't be a huge jump, certainly won't jump into the 30 FP range. Got the ability to do so, but, Giddy's going to get his, and I think Chet will get his as well. And this is probably why mid-20s for Jalen Williams. Mark Williams just showed a lot toward the end of the season. He's going to be definitely a double-double machine. 13 and 11 is projected for Mark Williams with blocks. Jalen Duran, it's a bit unknown. They're projecting at about 29 minutes a game to get 24. I think it's possible, and I think toward the end of the season he was definitely getting these sort of numbers. It's whether the coach Monty Williams believes that Jalen Duran will be only 19 years of age and had a really good rookie season. Whether or not they'll agree. JV, I don't know if he will get that much, but that's what they're saying. He's a solid contributor. Don't forget about Gafford and Harris and Michael Porter Jr. So you've got 11 players that are going to average more than 23 fantasy points a game. That's going to be hard for teams to match up with, really, especially if they've got an injury or two. And you're looking at a list with 11 players that can really play. And then there's Trey Murphy, and we know he can play as well. So he's the 12th man. Mike Conley's 13th. Amen Thompson 14th. That's how deep the Jaguars are. They are the deepest. That's why I've got them at number 5. They are the deepest team in the TRSBA, and it's not really that close. The next best bench team would be the team that's going to be second, which we'll get to in a minute. And there's a big difference between us and them. Third best bench team was the Tampa Bay Butchers, but they didn't have any good starters. Okay, the double doubles. The double doubles. So Luka Doncic, 47, probably going to lead the league. 3,102, ranked number 3 there. Anthony Davis had a great year last year, but did he play the games? Maybe not. So because of the game missing, you probably wouldn't say that he's better than the 17th best player. Wagner, 46. That's very solid. Franz, 29.7. J. Holiday, 51st. Rudy Gobert, 54th. Bit of a disappointment last year, I thought. Jakob was okay. Portis, Herter, Heald, Jones, Wagner. This team's a beatable team. They really rely on the health of Doncic, of Davis, and the increased play of Wagner and the leadership of Holiday. But we'll see how they go. They've got a full cap and they've got 12 players signed. They've added GG Jackson, as if you didn't know. Team number 3, is the Alabama Wild Boars. Anthony Edwards ranked 9th in the TRSBA in totals, probably not average, in totals. LaMelo Ball ranked 13 in totals. These are the 2 key guys that really battled for that Rookie of the Year position a couple of years ago. They've got both of them. They're both playing well. Hopefully they're healthy. They've got KD to help there as well. Jimmy Butler, so they've got him. So it's really good players. Miles Turner's, we think he's good as well. Westbrook, often forgotten, but okay. And then you've got Quickly, White, Smart. I mean, Smart's going to have a good start to the year. I think it should be a bit higher than that. He's probably in the top 100, to be honest. Jalen Johnson, I think that's a good pick. I mean, I like this team. I think he's always smart, always doesn't sort of give up when things don't go his way. The Hef, I think this team likely to come out of the East again. They didn't do it last year. They got a bit unlucky, but they would be the favourites at the moment. They were averaging about well, the Jaguars aren't that far behind, but in the 213 range, 214, 15 maybe, is where I'd expect their averages to be. And you probably see that we've missed a team that didn't do that well last year. So we look at the LA Pens. They were 24 and 30 last year. but I'm ranking him number 2. Wow, that's a big increase. But I think they sort of separated themselves a bit from the pack, apart from the number 1 team, of course. When you're looking at that lineup there and you see 5 guys greened up, so their best 5 averaging over 33 fantasy points a game, pretty much. Devin Booker, 36.29, and usually reasonably a healthy sort of guy. Jalen Brunson, he's really good. Desmond Bain, we know that he's going to really start off the season with a lot on his plate because, as you know, Jar will be out. That's why he's expected to be in about the 30th best player. Markkinen was an all-star last year, so that makes perfect sense. And Cade Cunningham, don't sleep on this guy. He was the number 1 pick. Number 1 pick for a reason. 32.88 projected, and I think it probably would be better than that. I think he'd be in the top 25 players. Sengun is still pretty good. I think he might just sort of replicate what happened last year, be a little bit better. I like OG Anunoby. I think he's a top 100 player. Bruce Brown is solid as well. Does that ever add up? Just checking something here. Yeah, no, it does add up. So, yeah, these guys are fairly solid. I mean, you look at the bench. I think Denny Avdia will break out a bit. Onyeka Okongwu could break out. Bruce Brown is tried and true. I like this team. I think they'll be the team to watch in the West. Also, Death Valley. They were the champions. They were 45-9 last year. They added Taylor Hendricks, Norman Powell, and Cole Anderson. So they didn't add a lot, but they got rid of, a 28, 29 fantasy points a game sort of player in Van Vliet. Tatum, their best overall player. Lillard, their best averages. Steph Curry, clearly their 3rd best player. Pascal Siakam's not far behind, like 16. So look, you got 4 players in the top 16. Bam about 34th. He's not as good as these other guys. Tyrese Maxey should get 30 fantasy points a game. So they've got their starters or their first 6 easily the top 6 players, the top team in the league when it looks at those how strong those first 6 are. And they rank 5th with the bench players, even though they've got it sort of tails off a bit. Simons, Powell, Carl Anderson, Naz Reid off the free agent list. So you can get, these are the sort of players you can get off the free agent list. Jaden Hardy, Karis LeVert. So there you go. That's my analysis. It's been a pleasure doing this very early season power rankings, TRSBA 2024. Commissioner Tim Wilshire, it's an Eka day here. I hope you've enjoyed that. If there's any sort of thing you wanted to ask about, just send us a message on it. Cheers.